2 der Pressekonferenz, jetzt mit unserem Cheftrainer Hansi Flick. Hallo Hansi.
Hallo.
Welcome along to the second part of this press conference. Now we're joined by head coach Hansi Flick. Hi Hansi. And we're going to continue with the first questions for the coach.
Simon Evans von Reuters. Vorhin hat es nicht geklappt, jetzt schauen wir. Bitteschön.
Hi Hansi. All the pundits are saying the same question.
Excuse me, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you got the translation. Yeah, all the pundits are saying the same thing about this match, that with your high line, there's a risk with PSG's pace. Does it make you consider playing a deeper line and changing your tactics, or do you stick with what's worked so well for you so far?
Also es ist so, dass es uns ausgezeichnet hat, dass wir so hoch agieren, dass wir so hoch stehen.
What we've noticed, first and foremost, or what's really marked us out, has been the fact that we've held this high line. We don't necessarily want to afford too much space to the opposition, but of course there is quite a lot of space in behind our defensive line. But what's important is that we can actually press the opposition when they're in possession. And when the ball goes into that space in behind, we need to make sure that we cover all of that ground. We've watched all of their matches against all of the matches against Barcelona and Lyon. And of course, Paris Saint-Germain have a lot of quality. They're perhaps similar to Barcelona on that score, whereas Lyon played in a very direct style. They went straight towards goal, if you will. They often played long balls forward into that space in behind, so it's very important that we're able to cut out those passing lanes, that we don't afford the opposition space to play the ball into. Of course, PSG have a lot of pace in the side. They're a top team with some incredible players, and it's a very exciting match. That said, in our games over the last 10 months, we've always tried to impose our style of play on the opposition. We've always played with a high line against the opposition, and ultimately we've got results doing that, so we won't change too much on that score.
Mann von der DPA.
Herr Flick, können Sie uns ein bisschen personelles Update geben? Wie sieht's?
Good evening. Could you give us an update on personnel? What's going on with Jerome Boateng? And after the Lyon game, you said that Benjamin Pavard is not yet an option for the starting 11. Is that still the case? The situation is as follows. Jerome is going to train with us this afternoon. And as a head coach, I always wait for the final training session. I talk to my staff. We have a think about how things might work tomorrow. We'll do that once again. Of course, I hope that Jerome will be fit enough to start the match. And then once we've held that training session, I'm going to hold a meeting with my staff and we're going to debate how to move forward.
Der ist Georg Holzner für den Kicker.
Hallo Herr Flick, ich grüße Sie. Servus.
Hallo.
Good evening, Hansi Flick. I have a question for you personally. What have you made of the last 6 to 8 months? It's relatively new for you, but now you're into the final of the Champions League. This is the eve of the match. How do you feel? Are you slightly nervous, or is this just standard practice? How do you feel? If I'm perfectly honest, I don't really have too much time to think about all of that. My staff, the players and I are absolutely delighted to be in the final. We have really progressed as a team. We've got a lot of intensity in terms of our training sessions, but also having fun is a crucial ingredient when it comes to having success. And then the mentality that the team have always possessed. the team are ready to give absolutely everything in order to go out and win the match. We always try and take things one game at a time. We have prepared for one match after the other. We've never really looked too far ahead, what might happen next week, 3 weeks from now, 3 months from now. We've always tried to focus one match after the other. We've always prepared for each game as they've come. We've always tried to produce our best possible performances. And then we have started to think about the next game. And it's the same goes for this match as well. Obviously, we want to produce our best possible performance. We're coming up against the best sides in Europe in the final 8 of the Champions League, be it Barcelona, Lyon. They were top sides. We were slightly fortunate, but ultimately our game plan worked out. But against Paris Saint-Germain, they're a top side. What else can you say? And testing yourself against the top sides is really something that every footballer wants to do. And I think all of our players are ready to absolutely give 100%. It's so nice to come up against the best. Of course, tomorrow night's match will be a special game. It's the Champions League final. We can ultimately be crowned European champions, and we would be delighted if we managed to do so.
Hallo Martin. No, ist nicht eingeloggt. Dann versuchen wir David Verhoff von der Bild-Zeitung.
Hallo Herr Flick, eine Frage nochmal zu Benjamin Pavard.
Good evening. I have a question about Benjamin Pavard. Have you ever considered starting someone in the Champions League final that only has a few minutes under their belt, or do you think it's too much of a risk? We have a well-oiled team, and I trust that team. First and foremost, I'm very pleased that Benjamin Pavard was able to join up with us. First and foremost, we need to take our hats off to the medical staff, and for him as well, because he's worked very hard to be here. I trusted him a great deal in the game against Lyon. As for whether we need to prepare a replacement, Benji's had a wonderful season, and his attitude, his presence is really good for the group as a whole. He knows how he needs to play down the flank, and that's why he really would be an option if he's fit enough to start. That said, if I know that I can't trust the fact that he's 100% fit, then I'm not sure we can necessarily say whether he can start at this stage. We'll see what happens going forward. The same goes for Jerome Boateng, to see whether he's 100%. And as I've already said, I will hold a meeting with my players, with the staff, and we'll have a think about the starting 11 against PSG.
Da windet's, ja.
Hallo Herr Flick, ich hoffe, man kann uns jetzt hier besser verstehen hier oben.
Ja, ja, passt. Alles gut.
Perfekt. Haben sich Kingsley Coman.
Good evening. I'm afraid I can't understand, nor can the head coach.
Nochmal einwählen, da bist du wieder. Wir versuchen's. Ja.
Ja.
Jetzt noch. Haben sich Ivan Perisic oder hat sich Philippe Coutinho oder Kingsley Coman, einer von den beiden, aufgedrängt für einen Startelf-Einsatz?
Ivan Perisic, or Philippe Coutinho, or Kingsley Coman, will they start? You always try with the same question. All I can do is give you the same answer. I'll wait for the final training session. Ivan, Philippe, and Kingsley have worked very hard, all three of them. And when they came off the bench, they very quickly showed Kingsley and Philippe that they can ultimately strengthen the side. But I'll wait for the final training session, and then I'm going to make a decision on that score. But of course, we should also bear in mind the fact that this is our third game in quick succession. So we need to look at how strong our players are in terms of their fitness levels. We'll look at all of that during the training session. Ultimately, we'll try and put the right team out there on the pitch.
Bitte.
Hallo, Herr Flick.
Hallo.
Bitte.
Franz Beckenbauer
Good evening, Mr. Flick. Franz Beckenbauer has warned that PSG don't have any weaknesses. What do you make of that? And have you uncovered any weaknesses in this PSG side? I agree with him. They really are a top side with a lot of pace in the team. They've got a number of experienced campaigners, some really top-class players. Above all in attack, but also defensively with Thiago Silva, someone that has played in that position year in, year out. They've got Marquinhos in the middle. He really is an incredible player. They've only conceded 5 goals in the Champions League. I believe they've conceded the fewest goals in the competition, so that means that their backline works just like their frontline does. We have a game plan, and I hope that we'll be able to carry out our game plan tomorrow night, and we hope that's the case. We're very excited about the game. It's a real highlight. It's not every day or every season that you're able to make it into the Champions League final. That's why we're very excited, and we're going to really try and produce our best performance out there. We're going to try and play our best football, and only if we're able to do all of that, if we're all at 100% in terms of our performance levels, we will be able to win the match. 2 more questions?
Hallo, Rob Harris. Ist wieder raus. Dann ziehen wir Klaus Bergmann vor.
Nachdem Sie das sagten, wie Sie aussehen, wenn Sie sich die Krone aufsetzen. Da bin ich gespannt.
You've already spoken about the crown, how you could really crown off this season by becoming Kings of Europe. I'd love to picture that image. The question is as follows. Joachim Loew has said that there are 2 German coaches in the final, but that he has his fingers crossed for you because you guys go a long way back. Have you been in contact with Joachim Loew over the last few days? And will you give a bit more time off to the national team contingent in the Bayern side? That would have bothered me a little bit had he not crossed his fingers for me, for us. We've spoken on the phone, we had a good chat, and right from day one, he said that he didn't want those 4 players because he believes that they need a bit of time off, that they need some holiday. And I'm very happy that he's keeping an eye on those players. I know to what extent it's important for him that the players have the necessary recovery time to be able to rest up, because next season will be very tough for everyone involved. That's why I think it's great that he's made that decision. We have a great relationship, and we will also give him all of our support when it comes to trying to win the European Championships. That's why we're delighted to see that he's made the decision with the national team. He has a very big game against Spain, but given that I know him very well, he thinks less about the result and more about the players themselves, and I'm delighted about that.
als letzte Wortmeldung, bitte. Hello, Rob.
You can see me now. Hello. Andy, good tomorrow's game. A lot has been made about this game, the fact you've got Bayern with all the fans involved in the running of the club, and you're taking on a club that's owned by a nation state of Qatar. Do you look at it in this context, and do you feel like you're taking on a whole country? Obviously, knowing that you as Bayern do have some Qatari sponsorship, but do you feel like you're taking on a country, whereas you as a club are running a different way?
Also wir spielen gegen Paris und Paris liegt, glaube ich, in Frankreich und deswegen...
We're playing against Paris Saint-Germain. And the last I heard was that Paris are in France, so it's a domestic side. It's Paris Saint-Germain against Bayern Munich. We're happy to play against one of the best sides in the world with a coach that's got a terrific footballing philosophy, the way he wants to play the game, the way he allows his players to play the game. It's a real challenge for the side as a whole. I'm very happy about that. It will be great to see Thomas Tuchel tomorrow night at the final in Lisbon. I really rate him as a human being and as a footballing expert, if you will. So it's Bayern Munich against Paris Saint-Germain, no more than that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Hansi. Thank you, everyone, and see you all tomorrow night.